The world has made incredible strides, from reaching the moon to sending a message from the United States to China in a second with just the internet. You can even have AI write a script for you with a simple command. But there's one thing that hasn't changed much: voting. Even today, on election day, you have to go to a polling station, stand in line, and cast your vote. That's been the way for ages. But did you know that Norway actually tried to change that in 2011? They attempted internet voting to make it easier, to encourage more people to vote, and even to get citizens living abroad involved. But guess what? It didn't work. Why? Well, a few things went wrong, mostly related to security concerns. Then in 2014, Estonia gave it a shot with iVoting. They had high hopes, but again, it failed. This time, the problems were due to server vulnerabilities and the threat of malware attacks. Now, here's the common thread between both cases: internet voting wasn't secure enough. There are several reasons why it didn't work. 1. Security concerns. Our mobile devices are prone to malware, phishing attacks, and hacking. Making sure every vote remains safe from tampering or interception is tough. If there's any breach, it could jeopardize the entire election. 2. Authentication and identity verification. How do you ensure that the person voting is actually who they say they are? Verifying a voter's identity securely on a mobile device isn't easy. Yes, things like biometrics or multi-factor authentication help, but they're not foolproof. Plus, some people might not even have access to the tech required. 3. Election monitoring. When you vote in person, there are officials there to oversee the process. But with mobile voting, monitoring becomes a whole lot trickier. It's harder to verify if everything's being done correctly and fairly. So, can internet voting ever work? The short answer is yes, it can. But not with the internet as we know it today. Blockchain technology offers a solution. Now, if you're not familiar with blockchain, don't worry. Let me break it down for you. What is blockchain technology? At its core, blockchain is a decentralized, distributed ledger. This means it securely records transactions, or votes, in this case across a bunch of different computers, making it nearly impossible to tamper with. Unlike a system controlled by one central authority, blockchain works on a peer-to-peer network, meaning everyone involved works together to validate and record the transactions. Each vote, or transaction, gets grouped into a block. Once the block is full, it's cryptographically linked to the previous block, forming a chain of blocks, hence the name. Once data is recorded in this system, it's incredibly hard to alter or delete, making it a permanent, tamper-proof record. How blockchain works. Decentralization. In traditional systems, all data is stored on one central server. But with blockchain, data is spread out across multiple computers, called nodes, and each one has a copy of the entire blockchain, blocks and hashes. Every time a transaction occurs, like casting a vote, it gets added to a block. This block has a hash, a unique code, a timestamp, and data about the transaction. Once that block is full, it's linked to the previous one, ensuring a secure chain of data. Consensus mechanisms. In order for a new block to be added, the entire network has to agree that the transactions in it are valid. This is usually done through methods like proof of work, POW, or proof of stake, POS. Immutability. Once a block is added, it's nearly impossible to change it without altering all the blocks that come after it. This makes tampering with the data extremely difficult, if not outright impossible. So, how can blockchain make internet voting possible? Here's how blockchain can solve the problems that internet voting faced before. Voter authentication. With blockchain, voters can use secure digital IDs, like the eID in Estonia, to authenticate themselves. Blockchain makes sure that this authentication process is cryptographically secure, meaning only eligible voters can cast a vote. And once they're verified, their identity is recorded, but who they vote for stays private. Casting votes. Blockchain uses smart contracts, which are self-executing programs with preset rules. So when someone votes, the contract automatically checks that the voter is eligible and records the vote. Once that vote is cast, It's added to the blockchain, where it's impossible to change, ensuring the vote stays exactly as it was. Transparency and auditability. Because blockchain is a public ledger, anyone can verify that their vote was recorded correctly. While your identity stays encrypted, the voting records are public, ensuring full transparency. Election officials can also trace every vote back to its source without compromising privacy. The benefits of blockchain for voting: security. The cryptographic nature of blockchain makes tampering incredibly difficult. Transparency. A public, unchangeable ledger means that anyone can audit the election results without compromising voter privacy. Anonymity. Voters' identities are protected, but their votes are still verifiable. Decentralization. With no central authority in charge, the risk of fraud or interference is reduced. The challenges of blockchain voting: digital divide. Not everyone has access to the technology needed for blockchain voting, like smartphones or reliable internet connections. Complexity. Blockchain technology can be hard to understand, and this might lead to confusion or mistrust among voters.